Hello and welcome to Coffee Paper Scissors. My intention for the video today was to be a start to finish on this journal cover, but my phone is not cooperating with me. I must say that the video didn't end up being quite long, so I get it, but still a little bit more phone storage would be great. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to break it down into a part 1 and a part 2. I'll put them both up on my channel today. Again, it's a start to finish. However, this part of it, the lady with the floral skirt, I made that like a year ago. So how to make this, I will attach that video below. And so this is not part of what's upcoming, but if you're interested in making something like this, then look down in my description box and you'll see that. So again, today, instead of one video, you're going to get to a part 1 and a part 2 on how I made this journal cover. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to be working on the journal cover. I figured I'm not finished with the insides, but I need to get my journal cover made so that my spine is wide enough and I don't have a gator mouth. My measurement for these pages is just an 8.5 by 11 folded in half. So I'm going to make my cover 8 3/4 by 5 3/4 so that all of my pages are inside. So what I have here is very heavy chipboard that I found on Amazon. If I can find it, I'll link it. And then I have this paper cutter that will cut through chipboard, but it's a lot of work. So this is going to be wiggly, but I figured I would do a start to finish and so that you guys can see all of the steps. Now I make a journal cover different every time. It just depends on the journal. This is how I'm making this one. And I don't even know what I'm doing yet. Once I get to the next step, I'll decide. But for right now, I have measured 8 3/4 of an inch. And I know that you guys probably are not all the way in camera, but I'm gonna, I think, turn it sideways a bit, and I might be able to get a better push on the cutter. So it's not the easiest paper cutter, or I should call it chipboard cutter, because you can't really see your line very well. And I have several lights on to try and help myself. I'm gonna go and make just a little bit of a darker line. I'm sure that if you don't have a really heavy duty paper cutter, you can use an X-Acto knife over and over again or something. I'm not very good at that. Now, again, this isn't the easiest thing in the world, so I'm sorry about the wiggle, but I figured I would just show you so you guys can know it's a lot of work. It's not easy to do. So if you want one of these, the brand is Carl. It's really heavy duty. I'll see if I can flip over and find the number for you. All right. You would think all in one go, but it doesn't work that way. And I use like my body weight and I go over it and over it and over it. Almost. Okay, I'll pull it off. Okay, now I'm out of breath. So now I have the 8 3/4. I'm gonna go ahead and measure off the 5 3/4 and cut both of those. Okay, I have 2 at 5 3/4 and 8 3/4. That'll be my front and my back cover. And then what I generally do to figure out how wide to make my spine, and I'm just using the offcut. So I buy a 12 by 12 chipboard. So then I have just this little strip and then this strip. And then I use that strip to make my spine. So what I do is I take it, I put it all together, and then I hold it and I let my fold kind of span or spread, and then I hold it here and see, okay, you know, it's definitely gonna fit with quite a bit left over. I'll usually take and kind of measure. So it looks like if I do, have a little hanging over, a 2 and 2.5 inch, it looks like it should be fine. I just, you know, kind of let it go. And I'll also add a tie to tie it down real tight. So when it's closed, it'll probably kind of puff open just a little bit, but not so much that a closure isn't gonna take care of it. So I'm gonna go with 2.5. So again, I'm gonna have to take this and measure my 8 3/4. And I try to do 2 lines so I can line it up on the cutting thing a little bit easier. That first cut when you're cutting the 12 by 12 is actually the hardest. The second cuts to make my front and back cover, I only had to, you know, go over it twice. So we'll see on this one how it works. And I'll just do it with you this time. Oh yeah, see, there you go. So the first cut's the hardest. And then I have to do 2.5. So I will cut that, and then I'm going to try and figure out what I'm gonna do next, because I really don't know. Right now I am working on the tie closure, and I just wanted to show you really quick what I'm using for this. And I've used this in several journals. I use my, I don't know what this thing is called, but it's for, you know, fabric working, and then, you know, a fabric cutter. Be very careful with these, they're very sharp. And then I always use a really old mat so I don't destroy my good surface. Now this is, I think it's an old curtain or an old tablecloth, I don't know, but it's not like stretchy or anything like that. So it works good as a closure because it, you know, it doesn't overstretch. Not that I think stretchy would be bad. So then I cut it, I trimmed it off the edge to get like the funky edge. Now I might use that somewhere, I don't know. And did I say I did 2 inches? Let me get my cutting boards here out of the way. So I did 2 inches, and so that is what it looks like. And it makes a really good closure. And then I'm just going to take the ends and do that with them. This is probably plenty long enough. If you think about if that's underneath and you, okay, yeah. How much you actually need, and then if you want a big bow or a little bow or whatever, and then stuff hanging off. One of these days I need to measure my closures once I've got them all done and see if I think that's good. Okay, I'm just gonna go a little bit longer. You know, why not? There was a spot I saw somewhere on this. I'm wondering, I don't know where it went. Oh, it's right there. I don't know what that is. Okay, well, I'm just gonna cut this. And then all right, So then we have, I'm hoping it's long enough. It'll be long enough. So we have our fabric for our closure, or our trim, our lace, or whatever you want to call it. And I have my front and my back. So I could go ahead and glue those on. I use hot glue. You could use fabric glue. Try and get the right side the right way. Okay. And I need my little silicone thingy. These, if you haven't seen these lately on anybody's channel, Dollar Tree, and it was in the makeup section as quite a while ago. And I don't want this to be loose. So what I've decided to do, a lot of times I'll cover my chipboard all the way around with a fabric or a paper or something, but what I've decided to do this time is leave the chipboard edge, and I'm going to ink around it. I'm going to ink around all of this. After I do that, I'll probably come back in and add a little bit more glue there. And reinforce everything. Trying to figure out the up side. I think it's this way. And it's pretty thin, so it shouldn't cause any problem with bulkiness or anything like that. All right, now I'm going to see what I'm going to do next. So I found the other part of the masterboard that I created when I had a masterboard that I put this on, and I was lucky enough, even though this was a long time ago, like a year ago, I found the other half of it to be the back side of the journal. What I'm doing now is I'm adding some trim around, and if you'll notice, I'm putting the trim, I'm attaching the trim to this so that when this ties, there's a little tear there. I think it's going to be okay because that's where the knot's going to be. It won't even show. Anyway, so that if I put this underneath first, then it would take and pull that down. So this way it still is there when this is tied, if that makes sense. All right. So I'm taking some lace, and I don't need it on the side that's going to be on the spine, so I just put a little X there. And I'm gluing down the top and the bottom first, and then the long side, and I'm gluing it down with Fabri-Tac. So let's just get a quick little measurement. I will show you this part, and then I'll glue the rest of them down myself. It doesn't have to be perfect because that is going to be covered on the edge. I mean, some of it will show, but not too much. So, and it's, you know, fairly long, but I'm just having a little bit of it stick out. I'm doing a fairly thin lace rather than a crocheted lace. I love the crocheted lace, but I figure that would be kind of thick for the way I'm doing it this time. So it would be harder to glue this to my chipboard. so then it's glued on. All right, I'm going to glue on this side first and then this side and figure out what we'll do next. It is coming together. So you guys, what I have decided to do on this, I'm gonna give it a second layer. I'm gonna put this other trim just kind of right on top of it. Just because I like the way it looks, so why not? And again, it's really thin, so I don't think it's going to cause any trouble with bulk. And I just, you know, again, squish the hot glue down really well, which also gets rid of some of the bulk and makes it so that your stuff is definitely not going to pull away. And then I just cut it to be the same length as the other, or maybe might be fun to make it a little longer. We'll see. I could trim it later. So let's go ahead and do the other one. So I'm done with that and I can put those things away, get them off my desk. Let's see here. I'm gonna have to stop after this next little part, next section? I don't know what to call it, because I'm going to be using these and I only have so many of them, so I'm gonna have to let it sit and dry till tomorrow and hopefully do the rest then. But you guys will see it all in one video. I'm gonna start a little farther out here. Did I get it the right way? No, I almost didn't get it the right way. The glue that I use is the Gorilla Glue. It works really well. I think that it holds better than some of the other brands. I get this one. And it's incredibly durable. You can find it at Walmart. Other places too, I'm sure, but I think I get it at Walmart. Okay, let me get that out of the way. And then cut it. And I'm gonna just go a little bit longer. And we'll see how I like that when I go to tie the journal closed. You know, I may or may not like it longer. We'll see. Okay, get that out of the way. So now we are ready to glue this on. And I think I like this one best. I just like the way it lines up a little bit better, I think. All right, so now here's the kind of tricky part. There's so much stuff hanging off the side. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to load this part up with Fabri-Tac right along, I don't know, the edge. I don't know the whole thing. I just don't know for sure, but I'm really putting a lot. And I'm doing the Fabri-Tac first because it takes a little bit longer to dry, so I have a little bit more time to work with my other glue. And this is why I'm going to be using those clips, because it's going to take a little while for this to dry. I really need to get some fresh glue in this, but I don't want to mix it because I don't know if there's anything really all that different about Fabri-Tac and Fabri-Fix. and I don't know what's in here right now. So, I mean, I think I've mixed them before. I'm not sure. Okay, this one is Aleene's, however you say it, Fast Grab Tacky Glue. And it really dries pretty quickly. I would say almost as fast as Art Glitter Glue, but I'm putting a ton on there because I really want it to stick. So, trying to keep my clothes out of the Fabri-Tac. And I think this is thicker than normal because it's been sitting around in my craft room for a while. I don't use it very often because it does kind of dry faster than I'd like. Which sounds silly because I use Art Glitter Glue and that's fine. Anyway, I don't know. The lid, there it is. All right, here we go. Make sure that's down well. And then I have a little bit of time to kind of get it placed, but not much because that stuff really is fast grab. I just don't want this hanging over my chipboard. And I don't think it is anywhere, so I think we're good there. The problem is there's so much stuff here, I can't take anything and really squish my glue out. So I'm gonna have to do a lot of just here and there pushing. I don't want to destroy my flowers. But anyway, I put a lot, so it should be fine. Squishing out. It doesn't look like it's coming loose anywhere. All right. This one's really big, so I think I'm going to use it to go over the closure. And then I'm just going to kind of put them here and there. Hopefully I have enough. Okay. I may be putting them too close together. I don't know, but might as well use them if I have them. I'm running out though. Underneath. What else do I have? Do I have any more? I don't think I have any more in there. I have some paper clips. So this will be it for me today. I'm gonna let this sit until tomorrow. This I don't really need to do, but you know, I'll do it. What the heck? Why not? Do a few more. again, this is the way I'm doing my cover this time. I don't always have to go to all of this paper clipping. It just depends. Okay, we're gonna let that sit and check on it and finish it up hopefully tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Hey, not thanks for watching. It's gonna be the same video. Be back. Okay, this is a couple days later, and I went ahead and glued on the back of the signature, the cover. You know, in the last little bit we did this, and so this will be the back. Okay, and so you just want to be aware when you're gluing it down that you're gluing it the right, you know, side up and all of that. So you kind of want to put it together and mark it, because, you know, mistakes happen. I've made more than one. Okay, so now what we're going to do is cover the inside. And I found some more masterboard that I made a long time ago with scraps. And we're going to glue both of these down. I sewed around them. You don't have to. It was just, you know, just for something. So you guys don't have to watch me glue. You know how to glue, right? I'm going to use this glue, and then I'm going to sit something heavy on top of them and hope that they dry, you know, really well. The only problem with this one is the front is puffy. So we'll see. I might just have to keep pushing that one down myself. While those are drying, we are going to work on the fabric that I'm going to use to put the front, back, and the spine together. So I found this in my fabric stash, which goes quite well. I don't know if you can tell how see-through it is. You can see my fingers through there, right? I'm going to be doing, okay, so not everybody does it this way, but I do it this way. Whether my fabric is thin or not, see-through or not, I just do it this way. Okay, so I want to find the correct side that goes out, which is that. Now, I like to make my fabric thicker. I like to sturdy it up with heat and bond. I've shown you guys this several times. Not everybody uses this, but this is what I like. I've already cut pieces so that they will fit, and it's papery on one side if you've never used it before, and then it has this little glue stuff on the other side. So you put that down, the glue side down, and then I always give myself plenty of extra. You also kind of want to make sure that your fabric isn't kind of going wonky, because once you iron this down, you can't adjust your fabric, if that makes sense. Okay, so you just take it and iron it down. Follow the instructions on the packaging as far as heat goes. So that one's hot. I'm gonna let it cool for a little bit before we do the next step. Make sure we find the correct side again, what looks like the correct side anyway. I have no idea where I got this gray wool thing, probably Amazon. I'll see. I've had it for several years, you guys, so I really don't know for sure. But I am pretty sure that I got it off the internet, and if I got something off the internet, it's most likely Amazon. So I'm not very adventurous going to other sites, I must admit. Okay. It doesn't really take any time at all to get that stuck down. And if you do too much and your fabric is thin, it will go through. I've done too much before, and my fabric kind of sticks to this. So you don't want to do that. Okay, so that's good. Then you just let it cool for a second. You know, it gets to room temperature really quickly. And then you just peel the paper. And once you peel the paper off, now this is something that most other people don't do. They will then glue directly to this. I like to add tissue paper. So I cut my tissue paper to be the same size as my heat and bond. And you want to make sure that you pretty much are covering it exactly, or you'll get the sticky part onto your iron. And it goes really quick. You probably saw the color change. Okay, so that's it. Now we'll let that cool, and it's still really thin, but I just feel like the glue works better that way. That's just me. It doesn't seep through and all that. So again, you just take and peel. Lay your pre-cut piece down. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but tissue paper has kind of a shiny side. Can you see a little bit of shine? There it is, a little shiny. And then a dull side. I put the shiny side down. I don't know that it matters. It probably doesn't. That's just what I do. And yeah, it takes longer, but what else am I going to do with my day, you know? I got it a little bit off on the side, so there's shiny glue right there, but that's all right. All right, so there we go. It is ready to be glued down so that we can put the boards together that we made for the front and back. And the spine, we'll be able to put our book all together. I have to wait for my front and back to dry though, because I just glued them. This is definitely a step-by-step thing for me. Like I said, I don't ever do the same thing twice, and so right now I'm making the template for the holes for my spine. I take, and it doesn't really matter to me if it's the right length, as long as I keep it in the right spot. You know, I can judge, you know, if it's centered or not. That's fine with me. If you have a hard time with that, make sure it's the same size, but it's just a piece of scrap. And then I do make it the width of the piece of chipboard. Then I fold it in half to find the center. And remember, I do 5-hole stitches instead of the 3-hole. I just like it like that. It is harder to do. It's kind of frustrating sometimes, and I'm doing 1 3/4 inches. I think that will be good. I've been kind of moseying around my craft room trying to figure out what I'm going to do for decorating the spine and stuff like that. I don't want to just leave it flat. So I think I have found what I will do. I'm still waiting for the glue to dry on the cover. The back cover dried really fast, but the front cover is taking a little bit more time. I thought it was good, but it's not yet. And then I have 4 signatures. So I need to figure out, I think that I want, so what do I have here? 2.5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, maybe that's perfect. That leaves 1/2 inch of bulk on either side. You know, when your pages are all bulky and stuff. We'll do that. Hey, that worked out. Sometimes I really have to think too long to figure out where I want my signatures on these things. It's probably when I'm doing an odd number, but you know, even numbers are always easier, aren't they? Our snow melted. There are just a few little spots out there. We had quite a bit of heavy rainfall, so flooding, but hopefully, well, I do know somebody who had their basement flood, so that's unfortunate. Okay, so then this is where you, if you've not done this before, this is where you poke your holes. And we'll do that together after I get, actually we could do it right now. I could go ahead and glue this down. There's no reason not to. Oh man, okay, we'll just use art glitter glue. I'll dry fast. Haven't used it in a few days, so let's see how well it comes out. Ooh, okay, it's good. I just refilled it, so it's nice and fresh glue. I think it doesn't tend to clog the nozzle as much when it's nice and fresh. Okay, we don't want that going anywhere, so it is not. Get my paper towel and wipe that off. I try to keep it wiped off so that it doesn't cause a problem in the cap also. Then we just want it in the center. And, you know, sometimes I don't know, I just fuss with it. 1.5 inches to the tear. I think it needs to come this way a little bit, at least down here. It's pretty good up there. This is the inside. What I'm going to do is sew my signatures in, and then I think, is that what I'm going to do? Yes, I'm going to sew my signatures in and then do the outside. I think. I'm trying to get the glue off my fingers. Yeah, so we'll have that be the inside. And I don't care about these being, you know, like centered or not, because for the most part, it's not going to show. It's not that big of a deal. I do want it all the way to the edge though, if I can. Glue. Okay. So I use clips to hold it on. And I have an old phone book. See, they're still good for something. Now, this is kind of, I mean, it works, but I usually try and move it around a little bit so I'm not accidentally, you know, falling off the edge of my phone book. So be aware of that. So then take whatever pokey tool you have, and you just want to poke your holes at these. I'm getting hungry. I need to eat some lunch. I've been trying to get on the treadmill most mornings. Well, or maybe at least 4 times a week. But if I can do 5, I'll do 5 if I'm not busy. Oh my goodness, I almost could not do it this morning. I don't know why, but I had zero energy for it. So make sure I'm on the book. So I still am kind of feeling, I don't know, energyless, I guess. Okay, so there's that. And then since I'm going to be, it doesn't really matter, you know, one way or the other. If you want them not poking that way, you can just kind of go back and poke the other direction, and it kind of flattens them out a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to see if my covers are dry enough that we can glue them together. I broke down and filled my bottle. I also cleaned my tip with, what's it called? Acetone. So it should be flowing freely. So this is the inside of the journal. This is the back cover. This is the front cover. So when it's glued together, that's the front, that's the back. Okay, so I always check those things to make sure that I'm not gluing one of them upside down, or, you know, that sort of a thing. Okay, I'm using Fabri-Tac for this, but I think art glitter glue would work just fine as well. And I am just putting my Fabri-Tac where my tissue paper is to avoid seepage. And then I like about, not 1/4 of an inch, but I would say more than 1/8 of an inch. Actually, normally when I do this, I do it like this so I can see what I'm doing. And then I just want to make sure that it looks, I have to kind of stand up and get an eyeball on it that way. I want things to line up this way and this way. All right. And then again, I have to let it dry. I think while it's drying, I'm going to get myself something to eat because I'm hungry. That looks pretty good to me, I think. And of course, we leave the gap so that the book can open and close. One of my original, you know, how I use chipboard and make a book cover, somebody's like, it won't open and close. It's because they put the cover, they butted it up right next to the spine, which I thought I explained in that video, but perhaps not. So you have a little bit of time to mess with it. All right, so there we go. I'm gonna get myself something to eat.